Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Eileen, and this is another Daily Dose of Medicine Walk. And for those of you who are listening in on Blog Talk Radio, this is Healing House Radio. So I hope that this Saturday is a nice one for everybody, and it is always, sort of relaxing. I put together a video for a local church so that they can have a virtual church service. So usually the better part of my Saturday is spent working with that and getting all the pieces in. And it's nice because it allows them to still be able to interact while at the same time I have a chance to teach them about, working with YouTube and, working with social media and all the things that are involved in that. And social media can kind of be a double-edged sword. It can have an amazing capacity to connect us, and it can also have an amazing capacity to separate us. So today we're going to talk a little bit about empathy and social media. And it really is interesting because when you consider all the different ways that information can come in now, I grew up and, it was telephone, telegrams, newspapers, radio, the nightly news, and we had to wait for information to come in, and we had to, kind of sit by and see what was coming in, and even the newscasters, it's like, okay, breaking news in, and so it was a very big deal, and often there would be confusion even in the newsrooms, and it's like, well, what's going on now, and people rushing on and handing people pieces of paper. Yes, I know I'm dating myself epically. So these days a person can pick up their phone at any point and find out what is going on at any place on this planet just about instantly. We have news events that are live streamed from 100 different, individuals, and you get to watch it. And as we've learned, sometimes that can be a truly horrible thing, but necessary for us to be informed. And there is a special impact that social media can have on empaths, especially those who are still working on being able to, find their balance point. And that is a shocking story or something that really creates a resonance. And see, as we've discussed before, you don't have to be next to somebody to resonate with what they're going through or who they are. You can do it through a picture of them. You can do it through a video. And so when we have so much information coming in and so many news stories and so many pieces of people's lives that are suddenly right there in front of us, it can be difficult to be able to stay in a balanced place and not immediately get pulled into the intensity of what that person is showing. Now, this is a wonderful thing if you're watching videos of little baby animals and, maybe you're having a bad day, or you see an image of, somebody doing something very sweet and loving. And suddenly, we're resonating with that. We're resonating with the spirit of that lightness and that sweetness. On the other hand, we see a disturbing, horrifying scene, and it can come in and just grab a hold of you on the inside, and then you cannot break loose from it. Or it could be, someone inspiring fear, or someone trying to inspire hate, or, someone being very angry at someone else. It's really easy for us to get sucked into that. The problem with that is we lose our objectivity. We can no longer look at something and say, oh, wow, okay, well, That's a thing. And, I need to get more information about that. And I need to take a look at what's going on. Let me hear, the other side. Is there more to this story? Where we go into that, more analytical left brain, and we can say, you know what, maybe there's some pieces of this that we are able to put together more. This isn't the whole picture. I want more information. Sometimes empaths can just get sucked in. Oh my God, I have to, and they go into outrage, and and they're calling their friends, and it's like, oh my God, this outrageous thing happened, and then maybe somebody else is like, oh well, but you didn't hear what the other part of that was. Nope. And they probably aren't going to, because they've already fully engaged in that one perspective of that one story. And the more passionate the person is about expressing it, the more we get sucked in. And if any place is rampant with this, it's like Facebook. And I remember the first time I went onto Facebook was when I was involved in putting together a high school reunion. And being on Facebook made it very, very easy to do that. And I have stayed on because it allows me to, interact with, with people who I connect with, both in my business capacity and with my families and with my friends. And it is nice to have a way to kind of keep track and be reminded about birthdays and things like that. And it is very easy for people to get hooked in and maybe overshare a little bit. I mean, everybody does what they feel is right. And, Facebook, one of the problems that I do see with it is when it is used as a platform to turn people against someone else. And I mean, we've all seen it. Anybody who's on Facebook has seen where somebody will go on a rant and, really put someone else in a very bad light. It may be a friend, it may be a family member, it may be someone you're in a relationship with. And there is this like outrage, and suddenly people are piling on, and then the other person, will, log into it and say, whoa, wait, time out. This is really what happened here. And, and here's my side of the story, and they're not telling you all of the side. Well, then suddenly, the factions are formed, and some are going with the person who initiated it, and others are going with the person who's defending themselves. And when you're already sort of inclined to connect, what can happen is an empath can actually have a sort of a torn feeling. You invest fully. It's like, oh my God, that's a terrible person. And you might even, type something in. Don't type angry, or at the very least, wait a bit before you hit enter. Because especially if you don't know the whole story, and if you jump on the outrage train, and then you realize, oh, maybe I didn't get both sides of this, or maybe I should have waited for that person's response. In general, I always feel that a disagreement with someone is best settled with that person, as opposed to bringing in everybody else and all the other opinions, because it can be a very tricky thing. And ultimately, the problem is that you got to figure out a way to get along after that, and that can make for a very difficult relationship. And depending on how enthusiastically people were jumping on the accusation train, it can damage friendships. And I mean friendships that have been in place for decades. So it's important to be careful with that, and it's important not to get too pulled in. And especially if we know the person, so we already have like a mild resonance with them, their outrage becomes our outrage. So when seeing something, when experiencing something, oh, there's Luna. Hi. Good. What? Well, meow. Come on over. Just try to hold out for what what is the other side? What is that other perspective? Because then we can come from a place of balance, like, okay, well, I heard this side and I heard this side, so now I can put the pieces together. Often there's a saying that I've always liked, that somewhere between one story and another lies the truth. It's not totally with either side. And that's important to remember, because if somebody were to come out with something against us, yeah, we would want to be heard out. We would want our friends to say, hey, let me, even if it's just shooting out the person a text message, hey, this came out. What's up? What happened? So it is good to be able to be objective. And being empathic does not rule out being able to be objective. It's just when we're able to put empathy into the, the sort of the heading of, this is a piece of information that I have from this source. What are the other pieces of information? And as I've said before, empathy will give you a part of the picture. It will not show you the whole thing. It's a snapshot, not a video. It gives you a piece of what that person is experiencing in that moment. So, be careful with your social media interactions. Don't be so quick to allow your empathy to want to choose sides, and for the empathy to get locked into the emotion of that one story, because there's definitely more going on. I mean, you don't have to call the person out, and you can, check for more information. Find out what happened. Find out what the other person's story is. Don't choose not to comment until maybe the next day and see how that is. So social media is fun. It can be very, enlightening. It can be entertaining, and it can also be very disruptive and to the point of destructive. Do not allow your empathy to let you become a part of a problem as opposed to a solution. Another old saying I always liked was, before it was gossip, and now it could be social media, can be defined as when someone who is not a part of the solution becomes part of the problem. So enjoy it, but use it wisely. So thank you for joining me. And tomorrow's Sunday, so I will not be doing a video tomorrow, but I will be back on Monday. After next week, I will be off for a few days because I will be in Florida at a wedding. And so I will, I'll be back as soon as I can after that, because after that I come back and go into quarantine. So if you like this video, then please hit that like button. And if you appreciate the types of discussions and, the information being given, most of the people who watch are subscribers. Thank you so much. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. It would really help me out a lot. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can put them in the comments section. And those of you who are listening in on Blog Talk Radio can put them in your comments section. And for those listening, I will encourage you to go visit the YouTube channel and consider subscribing. So, thank you again for joining me. And as always, I wish you balance and I wish you blessings from my heart to yours. Love you, and see you next time. Bye.